Hello everyone, this is the first tutorial of Angular JS with ASP.NET. So in this tutorial we'll be using Angular JS in ASP.NET MVC and web APIs. So first of all, let us start with a new controller. For that you need to create a new controller under the controller folder. It is MVC5 controller. Let us name it Angular controller. So under Angular controller we have a view, we have a controller, we have a method name called index by default. Let us create a view for this method. So by right clicking the method name, you can create a view. So the view name is index and it will be having the same layout as other views in this project are having. So the layout will be under views shared layout.cshtml. So let me show you where exactly this is located. So the layout we'll be using is this one, the default layout of the ASP.NET MVC. So let us give this a meaningful heading. Alright, so h1 ASP.NET MVC with Angular JS. So this is the heading we'll be having. Alright, so let us first check if the method is being rendered correctly. So let us run the program. So we have a method called index under our controller in Angular, and we just created a view for it, right, with the title ASP.NET MVC with Angular JS. So here we go. This is the title that we just rendered. Alright, so after that so all the Angular files will be loaded in the same view. So for that, let us create one folder called Angular files under the folder scripts inside Solution Explorer. I already have one, so let us add one script. Alright, under the folder called Angular files, let us name it first controller. This is the actual Angular file that we will be using in our project. So this is the first controller. Inside the layout folder, in the body tag, let us define one app. Alright, so ng app, it is the beginning of Angular JS. Alright, so everything will be happening under this app. So ng app equals to let us call it ASP.ASP.NET app. Right, so this is the Angular app that we will be using. So copy the same app, and this same app will be using inside the controller folder or the Angular JS file that we will be using for our Angular tutorial. So let us create an instance of the same app where MVC app equals to angular.module. Right, so name of the app is ASP.NET app. Okay, so we just created an instance of the app we just had in our layout folder. So this is the app. Alright, and everything will be happening with this MVC app now, not the ASP.NET app but the MVC app, because we just created an instance of ASP.NET app to MVC app. Alright, so MVC app dot controller, this is how we create a controller in Angular JS. MVC app dot controller, let us call it home controller. Alright, so we'll have scope for it, and then function of the scope. Right, so scope dot message equals to hello world. Right, so this is how we create variables in Angular JS. We just created a variable named message inside our controller, home controller. Right, So everything, the variables, the object, or the array, or anything you want to create should be followed by scope dot. I mean, all right, should be preceded by scope dot. I'm sorry. So scope dot message equals to hello world. So we have our controller called home controller, and we have our view called index. All right. So this controller is different from the ASP.NET controller. So this is Angular controller. So we need to make sure of that. So under index folder, under index view, we will have our div, right? So ng controller equals to home controller, right? So my first message, right? So we will be displaying the message, this angular message in the view. For that, you need to have this double curly braces. All right, so this is how you load Angular variables inside your view. So the name of the variable is message. So you need to omit that scope thing when rendering Angular variables or any kind of arrays inside your view. All right, so my first message is message. All right, so in this way the variable from Angular controller to ASP.NET MVC view is loaded. However, you need to reference the script that we just created. The reference to the script called first controller.js. So section scripts. Right. Let us load our scripts under it. Script source equals to scripts slash Angular file slash first controller.js. Right. So we just loaded this script file inside our view, but we still have one important thing remaining. For that, we need to first reference the Angular file, I mean the CDN source of the Angular, before loading our Angular controllers. All right. For that, let us go to CDN Angular.js source. Right. For this, you can simply Google with Angular.js CDN, and you'll be having the links provided by Google to you. The first one is the correct one, right, for CDN source. So the CDN source is being loaded. So for basic Angular, we'll be using angular.main.js, and the version we have been using is 1.6.5. right. So script source equals to, this is the source, we just copy it from CDN source. Alright, so we just created a page with a simple Angular variable called message. Alright, so while refreshing the Angular file here, it should render the message here. Right. I think this is the old one I just created. So let us run the program once again, debug, and then start without debugging. Alright, so my first message is hello world. Okay, so how this hello world is rendered, it comes from this Angular file. Alright, so we just created a scope that message equals to hello world. This is a variable we had in our Angular controller, and this is the view. Alright, so we just rendered a variable from Angular controller to our view. So let us add an event in our view. Let us create a button class equals to button default. Alright, so let us add it, click me. Right, let's name it click me. And then so adding any event in AngularJS is it's preceded by ng. Alright, so anything is preceded by ng, so ng click equals to change message. Alright, so on click of this button, you want to call a method called change message inside our Angular file. So for that you need to go to the Angular file. We already had one. So this is the function for changing message, right? So scope dot change message equals to function. This is how you create a function in AngularJS file. So scope dot change message equals to function, and under this function we want to change this message to by word. Okay, so this will be changing this message. Scope dot message equals to by word, right? So on click of this button, on click of this button, the variable message will have to be changed from hello world to by word, right? So let us refresh this page once again. Alright, so my first message is hello world, and after clicking this button, this hello world is supposed to be changed to by word. Alright, so let us check if the function worked correctly. Alright, so it just worked here. So this is the first tutorial, and in this tutorial we just created a variable inside our Angular controller, and we added a simple event, button click event. On click of that button we just changed our variable's value, right? So that's it for today. Thank you very much.